Born the illegitimate son of Sith Lord Dramath, ruler of the planet Madrias, Tenebrae was raised by his poor farmer mother and her husband on a remote northern continent. A unique Sith pureblood from birth, Tenebrae had deep black eyes and never cried nor showed emotion. Even as a baby, forever cloaked in an aura so menacing, animals and other children stayed away. Unaware of his wife's infidelity, the stepfather raised Tenebrae as his own until the age of 6, when the boy displayed signs of force sensitivity. Confronting his wife, she admitted to an affair with Lord Dramath, enraging her husband who physically attacked her, while Tenebrae consumed the dark side energy emitted, which then burst forth in a torrent of power that snapped the man's neck. Turning to his mother, he assigned a far worse fate, letting her die only after months of excruciating torture, a punishment for the betrayal of their family. Over the next 4 years, the young Sith grew his abilities and gathered a loyal following, bringing neighboring villages and towns under his rule, while holding public executions for those who did not accept his authority, feeding off their life energy as they died. At first, Lord Dramath paid no mind to rumors of an upstart Sith Lord causing trouble in a remote and insignificant territory, but by the age of 10, Tenebrae held a domain so large he could no longer be ignored. Meeting in person, Tenebrae revealed he was Lord Dramath's son before launching a mental attack, so devastating the ruler went mad before dying. Although Lord Dramath already had a legitimate son and heir, Lord Dramath II feared the wrath of this astonishingly powerful child, and so fled with his followers to settle on Rekiad, where he ruled until his death. Back on Madrias, Tenebrae spent the next 3 years completing his conquest of the planet, and so by the age of 13, in 5100 BBY, was an unofficial ruling Sith Lord. In order to acquire the title, legitimize his reign, and upgrade his status within the Old Sith Empire, Tenebrae traveled to the capital of Zyos, where he was presented to Emperor Marka Ragnos, one of the greatest Dark Lords in history, presiding over a golden age of power and prosperity. Though the boy before him was young, the Emperor immediately sensed his strength and potential, giving his blessing for Tenebrae to become Sith Lord Vitiate, undisputed ruler of Madrias, which was later renamed Nathema. Remaining in relative isolation for the next century, Vitiate spent his days studying the dark side and imparting his knowledge upon students and followers, earning his reputation as a scholar who taught how to restrain emotions and use inner rage as fuel for their force powers. Yet few within greater Sith political circles paid much attention to Vitiate, as he ruled the world on the edge of their space and stayed out of the wars and conflicts of other Sith. When Marka Ragnos died in 5000 BBY, Vitiate remained neutral in the War of Succession that followed, between the two most prominent lords of the Empire, Ludo Kresh and Naga Sadow. Even after Sadow's victory, Vitiate remained apart from the others, refusing to join in the Great Hyperspace war they waged against the Jedi and Republic. Vindicated in his decision, they soon learned the Sith fleet was defeated, and the Emperor fled into exile, with enemy ships headed into their space to destroy all remnants of the Old Sith Empire. Yet in the wake of this tragedy for their people, Vitiate found the perfect opportunity for personal advancement. Putting his plan into motion, the Lord of Nathema spent much of 4999 BBY sending out a series of broadcasts designed to stoke fear within the now largely undefended Sith Empire by warning of the impending Republic invasion. When the Jedi finally arrived and started purging Imperial worlds of Sith influence, Vitiate once again broadcast a message, but this time it was an invitation for all remaining Sith Lords to gather on Nathema, where he would lead them in a powerful ritual to create the ultimate dark side weapon for use against their enemies. Having gained credibility from his accurate warnings of invasion, roughly 8,000 Sith Lords responded to his call. While they gathered together, Vitiate had a team of his best researchers and explorers locating a route to Droman Khas, an ancient Sith world lost for centuries, which meant it was entirely unknown to the Republic. When they finally reached this long-lost planet, Vitiate was ready to begin the next part of his plan, and so instructed the gathered Sith Lords to begin the ritual. Adding his strength to the others, the Lord of Nathema revealed the true nature of his scheme, as every living thing on the planet froze in place while their life force was drained over the next 10 days. When it was over, every living thing on the planet was dead, including the 8,000 participating Sith Lords, with all of their collective energy transferred into Vitiate, making him an immortal being with nearly godlike powers. Although the Sith respected strength and cared little for how it was attained, even if it came at the cost of entire worlds and peoples, draining a planet of its force energy would be considered an obscene abomination and heresy by nearly any force user, as they too would feel the pain of this loss. Understanding the severity of his crime, Vitiate forbid travel to his homeworld and hid its location, blaming its destruction on the Jedi and Republic. Easily the strongest Sith Lord alive, and possibly the most powerful in history, he was now Darth Vitiate, Dark Lord of the Old Sith Empire, to be known more commonly as the Immortal Sith Emperor. Traveling to the ancient capital of Korriban, he gathered whatever Sith Lords and servants remained, taking them aboard ships headed into the unknown regions, purposely forcing them to undertake an unnecessarily long 20-year voyage in order to ensure they were entirely dependent on their leader for survival. When he felt the time was right, Vitiate brought them to Dromund Kaas and established the Reconstituted Sith Empire, promising to one day take vengeance against the Jedi and Republic. Revered as a god, the Emperor spent most of his time in isolation, leaving administrative duties to the Dark Council, 12 powerful Dark Lords, each responsible for a different sector of Sith society, including the sphere of ancient knowledge, biotic science, defense of the Empire, expansion and diplomacy, imperial intelligence, laws and justice, military offense, military strategy, mysteries, production and logistics, Sith philosophy and technology. In addition to the Dark Council, he formed the Hand, a secret society of 12 carefully selected servants that would be rewarded with immortality and share in the Emperor's powers, in exchange for serving as vessels from which he might draw energy when necessary to sustain his powers and avoid bouts of exhaustion or weakness. Among the many projects they undertook to re-establish their empire, they restored and expanded an ancient dark temple, constructed an orbital space station, built a Sith sanctum within the Imperial Citadel to serve as headquarters for the Sith Order, and founded numerous academies from which the Emperor chose the best candidates to serve in his Imperial Guard, ensuring their absolute loyalty by binding them to his will. Though the Dark Temple was originally meant as a tomb for his enemies, the Emperor performed a ritual to consume the Force energy of all those within, creating a dark side nexus so powerful it caused perpetual dark clouds, rain, and lightning storms in the skies above Dromund Kaas. A special thanks to all those who contribute to Civilization X, like Faith the Wandering Huntress, Admiral Flint, Ambassador Alex Nunez, and Tom Moonstruck Waters. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/civilizationx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.